but let's imagine we've got a football tournament. And let's say in this football tournament, we've got 101 football teams playing. This is a straight knockout tournament. There are no fancy league stuff in the early stages. It is a straight knockout tournament. There's no home and aways, straight knockout. So if it's a draw at the end of full time, you have extra time. If it's a draw at the end of extra time, you have penalties. None of this other. This is kind of old school tournament stuff. My question is, if you have 101 teams in this tournament, how many matches are played through to and including the final? If you've heard it before, don't shout out. But how many matches are played through to and including the final? This bit's interactive, just in case anyone was wondering. You heard it before. What do you use? How many matches, not how many rounds? No, how many matches are played? Gotcha. Anyone care to share how they're thinking about it? What's the thought that comes in your mind? What's the first thing you try and do? Half it? What most people do, this is our data. What we look for is a process. What triggers in most people's minds is this kind of pattern. Is that fair? You've got a halving and halving and halving thing going on. And as long as you end up with 101 here, then you're right. All you have to do then is add up the matches. Is that fair? First problem, what's the first problem? It's an odd number. It's an odd number, that's a bugger. Anyone know how to solve that particular problem? You have a buy in the system? So you have a buy? Yeah, so I want to double up. Yeah. But any which way?
Well, 124 to 6.
Okay, so again, you've got a process, but it's broadly based around this, yeah?
Yeah,
but from the other end, yeah? What we do is we take our problem, we try and solve it, we do the process, and out comes the answer. If the answer doesn't come out, what we do is go back to the beginning and apply the same process, but now we know there's a buy. Damn it, there's more than one buy in the system. Bugger, we have to work out how many buys. That's where that'll get you. You go back to the beginning, how many buys? Oh, for goodness sake, this is getting too hard. We then bail out. And when we bail out, what we do is we put a workaround in. Your organizations are full of little workarounds because people can't solve the problems properly. And these workarounds are expensive and inefficient. But your organizations will be full of it because people only use second stage thinking. Notice if you can't solve the problem, what you do is go back to the beginning and apply exactly the same thing, but think harder about it. And that's typically what we do because we are so conditioned at second stage thinking. There is a clue in this because we can't solve it, which is crying out for approaching it in a different way. And the different way to approach it is using first stage thinking. First stage thinking recognizes second stage isn't working. Let's do something. Let's explore the problem first. I'm going to ask you 2 questions about this problem that are nothing to do with solving it. And then I promise you we will, as one, solve the problem just like that. Here's my first question. If there are 101 teams in the tournament, how many losers are there in the entire tournament? 100? Yep, no tricks. You can only lose once. You're on the way home at the end of that. Second question, how many losers are there for every match played? 1. Okay, that's my exploration complete. I wasn't trying to solve it, I was trying to understand it. You've got it. Let me reframe the question, exactly the same question. If there's 1 loser for every match played, and there are 100 losers in the entire tournament, how many matches are played in the entire tournament? 100. There's 1 loser for every match. So the number of matches equals the number of losers. So if you turn the problem around and say how many losers are there in any tournament, that's how many matches are played. So whatever the number is, if that number was n, the number of matches played in a tournament of n contestants is always n minus 1. That make sense? See how you crack open the problem merely by phrasing it in a different way. We are rubbish and sloppy at generating problem definitions. Your business runs on solving business problems. If you're sloppy in the definition, don't be surprised that the solutions you generate are less than perfect, because you're rushing into second stage thinking without using first stage.